relationship and thought, I know this isn't healthy, so why can't I walk away? Or maybe you've left multiple times only to find yourself going back. If so, you may not be dealing with love. You may be dealing with a trauma bond. Hi, I'm Melanie Eddy, a trauma-informed certified narcissistic abuse specialist. For over 20 years, I've helped individuals recover from emotionally abusive and narcissistic relationships. And I am also a survivor of a narcissistic mother, so I understand both personally and professionally how confusing these relationship dynamics can be. How many times do we hear this buzzword of trauma bond on social media without any context given to it? Well, today I'm here to take away the mystery of trauma bonds, and I'm going to offer you a clinical understanding. So today I'm going to share 7 signs that you may be trauma bonded. You may relate to all of these, one of these, or a couple of these. Let's dive in and let's see what resonates with you. Sign number 1, you keep returning after being hurt. In a healthy relationship, repeated mistreatment creates distance. We say to ourselves, this is not good for me. I don't deserve this. I am done with this individual. And so you leave for good. But in a trauma bonded relationship, repeated mistreatment often creates stronger attachment. You may leave, you may create boundaries, or decide you're done, only to return when they apologize, make promises, or briefly become the person that you've been so longing and hoping for. This is called intermittent reinforcement. And this, in turn, creates confusion. Sign number 2, you focus on their potential instead of their pattern. When I work with survivors, I often hear, but they're not always like this. The problem is that you're evaluating the relationship based on occasional good moments rather than the overall pattern. The key, and this is a big one, the key to recognizing an antagonistic relationship is that there will be a pattern of abuse that does not change. You may notice for a period of time that this person may become the person that you hope them to be, but they might eventually change. They might love bomb me again. However, they will eventually return back to their old pattern of behavior. A trauma bond keeps you attached to who they could be rather than who they consistently are. Think about the person right now that you have a relationship with. How do they consistently show up? How do they consistently show you who they really are? Sign number 3, you feel responsible for fixing them. You may believe, well, if I just love them enough, or if I just explain this differently, if I can just get them to understand. And here's a big one. Well, They have all this childhood trauma, they've been through so much, they just need me to understand them. You find yourself working harder and harder to save a relationship that actually requires effort from both people. Getting through difficulties in a healthy relationship requires two people to have self-awareness and a desire to want to take responsibility for their part in the relationship. There is a mutual love and respect for one another, and a willingness to go to any length to repair the relationship. In fact, you may find that the abusive person in the relationship will actually blame you and make you feel as if you're not doing enough and it's really your fault. Sign number 4, you constantly question yourself. You no longer trust your own judgment. You wonder, am I overreacting? Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm the problem. Years of gaslighting, manipulation, blame shifting, and emotional invalidation can leave you disconnected from your own reality. And this is psychological abuse. When you start to become brainwashed by the gaslighting, you will actually find that you start to gaslight yourself. Sign number 5, the highs feel incredible and the lows, well, they feel devastating. Trauma bonds are fueled by this unpredictability, the affection, the attention, and validation come inconsistently. Because you never know when you're going to receive it, those moments feel incredibly powerful. This creates an emotional cycle that actually become addictive. This can also be reinforced when you are in an emotionally abusive relationship where you have a partner who has, over time, isolated you from family, isolated you from friends, so that you become dependent on this reinforcement, dependent on the attention and affection because you've lost your community. Sign number 6, you feel anxious when they're upset with you. Their moods determine your emotional state. You find yourself walking on eggshells, monitoring their reactions. You're trying to avoid conflict. Keeping the peace becomes your full-time job. This is actually a trauma response. This is what we call hypervigilance. You're always on guard. You actually lose touch with your own emotions and your own needs because you were in a constant state of monitoring what the abuser needs. You may be doing this because you actually fear being abandoned by them and have convinced yourself that you cannot live without them. And finally, sign number 7, leaving feels like withdrawal. This is the sign that really surprises many people. When you separate from a trauma-bonded relationship, you may experience intense grief, anxiety, longing, confusion, and self-doubt. You may miss someone who repeatedly hurt you. That doesn't mean, though, that that relationship was healthy. It just means that the attachment was super powerful. And powerful attachments, they do not disappear overnight. So if you've recognized yourself in several of these signs, please hear this from me. A trauma bond is not evidence that you are weak. It's evidence that you've been caught in a cycle of emotional conditioning that affects the brain, the nervous system, and your sense of self. Here's the good news. Trauma bonds can be healed. You can learn to trust yourself again. You can reconnect with your identity. You can build relationships that feel safe instead of confusing. And you can create a life that no longer revolves around someone else's behavior. So if this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments which sign stood out the most to you. Please be sure to subscribe for education and recovery support around narcissistic and emotionally manipulative relationships. And if you're ready to take the next step in your healing, I invite you to reach out to me today. For counseling, if you live in Pennsylvania, Delaware, or Florida, you can schedule a free counseling consultation to discuss your situation and explore whether counseling is the right fit for you. If you live outside of those states and would like personalized guidance and support in your recovery journey, book a free coaching discovery call to learn how we can work together. Both links are in the description below. Choose the option that fits your needs and take that first step toward healing today. Until next time, remember, healing is possible and you deserve relationships that bring you peace, not confusion. Thanks for stopping in today.